This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel today. And let me tell you, the details, they keep coming fast, they keep coming furious. And by the time I get this video up, the NHL reporters, whether it be Pierre LeBrun, Frank Seravalli, or, good old Elliot Friedman, somebody will have a big exclusive scoop, or Gary Bettman will just drop another bomb like, yeah, the Canadian division's a real thing like he did last night. Well, you know what? We're going to get out in front of that and discuss something that has kind of gone under the table here, would you say, about what's going to happen with our precious NHL rosters this year. Is kind of how they shape up, right? We've been talking about taxi squads and stuff for a while. Well, now all of a sudden we've got an indication that there's going to be an expanded roster, similar to how the MLB handled it, and then a taxi squad as well. Frank Seravalli dropped this yesterday, December 8th, right? Like I'm saying, yesterday was a big day, but unfortunately yesterday was a much bigger day, much more important day on the Alberta side of things than the Oilers side of things in my life. But that said, yes, yesterday was important, and now I want to get out ahead and start looking at things in a whole new light, because quite honestly, January 13th is about the only thing I got to look forward to right now, getting me through the holidays, other than the fact that, yes, I have at least some family in the house, so it'll be all good. But got to get to January 13th. And how we're going to do that tonight, on a night I wasn't going to record a video, we'll record a video and we'll get something to talk about here, because this is important. So, talk of expanded rosters from 23 to 26. So the traditional 23-man roster is 14 forwards, 7 defensemen, and 2 goalies. That's traditionally how it's done. Or you have 13 forwards, 7 defensemen, and 3 goalies. 13 forwards, 8 defensemen, and 2 goalies. Right, there's a way to do it, several different ways, but you know what, that's always traditionally how it's been, 23-man roster. Well, it is talking about going from 23 to 26 with 4 additional taxi squad members for a total of 30 players for the Edmonton Oilers this year. Now obviously, you know what, typically the Oilers use, and I mean, if you want to talk the past several years, anywhere between 32 to about 45 different players in a season. So yes, this may still be very much so subject to change. Just because you choose 30 guys to start the season does not mean it will be the same 30 guys all year. I wouldn't expect that anyway, but we'll have a roster to pull from before having to pull from other sources of 30 guys. Now, right, that doesn't account for a trade. That doesn't account for this. Currently, as it sits, is what I'm looking at. And yes, before you ask the question, do I have Ethan Bear included? I 100% do, because to anyone still out there concerned Ethan Bear is not going to get signed, just you wait till the Board of Governors and the NHLPA vote and accept a return to play policy. Just you wait, okay? That's the big one for you, I understand, and I can't wait to talk about it with you then. The numbers, the math, the contract, whatever, the fit. It's going to be great. Anyway, right? 30 players. So, we got to take a look. Simply, we got to take a big look here at the Oilers roster and look at how this all works out. So I've got my trusty Google Doc where I mop up all my little graphics with names of players nicely typed out, and here's what we've got. We've got to find a path to 30 guys. Now, traditionally, as I said, 14-7-2. That's your math on the roster to make 23. Now the math you've got to find between the 3 positions, you've got to find a total of 30. So, we begin at the roster forward position, where you've got Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Kyler Yamamoto, James Neal, Alex Chiasson, Zach Kassian, Kyle Turris, Josh Archibald, Jesse Puljujärvi, Tyler Ennis, Dominic Cahoon, Jujhar Khaira, Joakim Nygard, and Gaetan Haas. That, other than maybe Jesse Puljujärvi, does not sound crazy. We all know this, right? This is pretty much what we expected the roster to look like going in. Now, that's 15. All right, I'm going to propose a couple of things here, and some people may or may not like it depending on how you look at it. The Oilers need a total of 17 forwards for practicality's sake when it comes to building this 30-man taxi squad. So that 30-man taxi squad would include 17 forwards broken down amongst 15 roster forwards. That's the top group. 2 taxi squad forwards. Right? Okay, because you're going to see how this all works. If the main roster is 26, you only have 4 spots for taxi squad guys. Right? And you want to have the most guys available possible. So 2 forwards makes sense on the taxi squad. That would leave you with 1 defenseman, 1 goalie, yada yada, bing bang boom. Okay, so let's focus on the forwards here. Tyson, stop getting distracted. I see you getting distracted. I see your eyes. I see your eyes, buddy. I'm watching you. But we've got a total of 15 roster forwards already. So depending on if you leave Haas in Europe, if you leave Nygaard in Europe, if you trade Jujhar Khaira, if you trade Alex Chiasson, okay, maybe you're missing 1 or 2, and that leaves 3 or 4 spots open for competition at camp on this roster. Realistically. That's just, you know what, that's probably the cynical point of view, because everything should be up for competition. But the realistic, cynical point of view, if you want to go there, is the fact that there's maximum 3 or 4 roster spots, even including the taxi squad 2 spots, available at camp for the Oilers up front. And that is where we get to the next column down, the Edmonton Oilers bubble forwards. These are guys pushing for jobs, should have jobs, could have jobs, have had jobs. Right? That's what I'd say. So, let's take a look at those guys. Benson, McLeod, Gambardella, Cracknell, Marody, Quine, Russell. Everybody on that list except for Ryan McLeod have NHL experience. So these guys are all qualified to be in this conversation. Not all for the same reason. Tyler Benson, one of those guys, if you've got 2 spots guaranteed on the taxi squad, but you've got 1 or 2 spots on the main roster, that 26-man roster, Benson, McLeod, Marody are guys very well qualified to fill that 1 or 2 holes on your roster. Absolutely, right? They are completely qualified to be there, and that's where they deserve to be, where they need to be if the Oilers are going to utilize them on a 30-man roster. Fair enough. Okay. Let's move into the next situation. Well, we've got 4 names in this bubble group of 7. I mean, yeah, you could have Ostap Safin, Raphael Lavoie, who I think should stay in Europe. He's dominating. Let him stay. Let him enjoy it. Let him grow at the pro level. You don't know what's going on with the AHL. And please, do not tell me you are going to force Raphael Lavoie into the NHL lineup after 20-odd games in the second tier of Swedish hockey. Guys, if we are going to do that, we have not learned a single lesson, A, as fans, A, as a hockey team, and at some point we got to stop rushing a draft pick bang like that into the NHL lineup, because look at what he's doing in the minors. Got to stop doing that. What's his overall game? I'm not saying Lavoie's is bad, but right, is a full pro season instead of sitting on the taxi squad 100% makes more sense than, like I said, sitting on the taxi squad, maybe playing 12 games this year, if there's not going to be an AHL season, which we still don't know. I think February 5th's the date, so that's a long ways away, even if it comes to camp. So why even bother to have Raphael Lavoie at camp? Smaller camp, less risk, less everything, makes sense. Bing, bang, boom. That's why I arrive at 7 bubble forwards. Now, Gambardella, Cracknell, Quine, Russell. Why are these guys on here? Simply because these are the perfect 4 guys to choose from for taxi squad players. Taxi squad players, if you watch the MLB, are the last resort. You've got expanded rosters, so you've got 1 or 2 extra bodies to use. When it comes to if there's an injury, if there's sickness, whatever, you've got some extra bodies already. These are last resort players. And the reason you don't want to use Benson, McLeod, or Marody, or if you still want to argue Lavoie with me, in that group is because you want them playing as many times and as often this year as possible to continue their development. And the thing is, if you sit them too long, you don't know what's going to happen to them. Whereas Joe Gambardella, Adam Cracknell, Alan Quine, and Patrick Russell honestly, in my opinion, are guys that could sit out for half a season and just practice and still be the same player they were 40 games ago, 17 months ago when they last played. I know 17 months is an exaggeration, but right, it's not like just because he plays every night, Patrick Russell's going to take 5 steps forward like a Benson, McLeod, or Marody are capable of doing. They're not like a Patrick Russell, Alan Quine, Joe Gambardella, Adam Cracknell are not at that stage in their careers where they're going to do that. So that is why they make perfect taxi squad players. So what if you sit them and each of them only see 3 games in a 56 game season? Doesn't matter. You're not wasting talent by any mean, right? Like, where in this anywhere is Joe Gambardella, Adam Cracknell, Alan Quine, or Patrick Russell a big time draft pick for the Oilers? Not even remotely close. So, in that, right, is you still have NHL experience. Alan Quine, Patrick Russell, Adam Cracknell, Joe Gambardella, they all have played at the NHL level. 3 of the 4 for the Oilers at some point in their careers. Alan Quine most recently last year. Bang, right? These are guys qualified to be there, and they are very easily able to sit on the bench and just practice round with guys like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And trust me, they are pros. They are pro hockey players who, you know what, it doesn't matter if they don't see the ice for 2 months. They get that chance to go out there and throw the body, shoot the puck on net. You tell them to do that, they will jump into that game with juice and they will go all night for you in that 12 minutes maximum they play for you that evening. That's why they are the perfect taxi squad players. So realistically, right, is you're probably choosing between Marody, McLeod, and Benson if you've got 2 roster spots available, should you have on that 15, and then obviously between Gambardella, Cracknell, Quine, and Russell for the other 2. That's how I divide this bubble group of forwards camp. Okay, fair, dandy, we're 12 minutes in, and I haven't even covered the defense. However, that's going to be much more simple. Adam Larson, Darnell Nurse, Chris Russell, Tyson Barrie, Caleb Jones, Ethan Bear. Who says no? Absolutely nobody. That's the defense we must roll with, and that is the defense we will roll with this season. The thing is, who's the 7th, 8th, 9th defenseman? That's the number. I was arguing with X-Snipes Oilers discussions today. He's out there working and driving around, getting things done, and here I am sitting getting ready for a video. 2 good minds to talk about hockey. Let's do it. We did it. We got it done, and away we went. And yes, I went with 10 defensemen. Doesn't make sense. You got to go with 9 because 2 roster forwards will be taxi squad members, and then you've got 1 defenseman that'll be a taxi squad guy, and then 1 goalie that will be a taxi squad guy. Bang. Okay, there's your 4 taxi squad guys. 17, 8. How am I doing this math wrong? How am I doing this? No, 15, 8, and 3. There's how I was doing the math wrong. My bad. Way too late in the video to try and get the perfect math going here. So, you've already got those 6 that I just talked about. They are confirmed. 100% they will be in the lineup barring injury. Okay, so you've got 3 spots on the defense open. Taxi squad guy and 2 guys you want to see play hockey. Well, straight up, if we're Oilers fans, if we're betting guys, we've got Evan Bouchard and William Lagesson as your 2 guys. That leaves room for 1 or a couple other guys to make it interesting. And you see here on this chart, I've got Broberg, Bouchard, Lagesson, and PTOs. That's where it really comes down to. You can throw that at the forward discussion. I don't need to complicate that. That took me 12 minutes to just try and explain. We don't need to go there because it's already enough of a decision to make without throwing other guys from across the league at the mess. So PTOs on the defense, we've talked about it for the past month. It makes sense. It will be a likely move, and we'll see what happens. So, Broberg, interesting case, probably not staying in Europe after the World Juniors. Done. Over. Boards the Sweden flight. Away he goes. So, that realistically leaves you with Bouchard and Lagesson. That takes you to 8. Okay, so you're at 8. You need 9. 9 is that taxi squad guy you sign based on a PTO. That's what I'd be looking at. And quite honestly, PTOs are going to be such a crapshoot should we not have training camp games or exhibition games or what have you, because you're going to see a guy practice and you're going to be like, well, this is, in case of emergency, bust the glass and use this guy. Oh boy. I mean, yes, I say that about Joe Gambardella, Cracknell, Quine, and Russell. I'm comfortable doing that, but this is a guy Oilers fans haven't seen play on the Oilers defense before, or who knows what the other situations are. And of course, where in this did I miss? I missed Theodore Lundstrom. I thought I had it all taken care of, but at the top of the list, right in top of Philip Broberg, I missed Theodore Lundstrom. My bad. The graphic's incorrect. I'm sorry. Lundstrom is in here. So realistically, yes, you've got your three defensemen. You've got your three defensemen with Bouchard, Legason, and Lundstrom. The only thing is, does a player make it interesting? A PTO guy. So Lundstrom should be on that. My bad. I've gone 16 minutes without recognizing that. I apologize. That's rough. My bad. And you know what? PTOs still make it interesting, but a lot less interesting having Theodore Lundstrom. So where in that do you have Bouchard, Legason, and Lundstrom? Lundstrom probably best suited to be the taxi squad guy if you're going to have Bouchard and Legason as your 7 and 8 guys. Pick them however you want them. All right. I need to spend a total of 5 seconds on goaltending. It's pretty simple how this breaks down. Olivier Rodrigue stays in Europe. No questions asked, no doubt about it. Best place for him is dominating the ICHL with Graz 99ers. Simple. No argument. We're toast. I don't want to see it in the comments because it's closed right there. Mikko Koskinen, Mike Smith are your NHL goalies. Stuart Skinner is your number 3, making that roster of 15, 8, and 3. Bang. Done. Okay, we know the roster. We know the roster 99%. Right, other than potentially 1 or 2 forward spots, and that's why I say we know the roster is it's potentially. It's not even 1 or 2. It's we might, but probably not. Defensemen, we've got 8 solidly. Whether you choose Lundstrom or Legason doesn't matter to me. You choose 8, and it's one guy up for discussion, same as the forward groups. And then goaltending-wise, Smith, Koskinen, and Skinner. Done. That's your 3. That's the way the Oilers need it to be this year. That's the way the Oilers want it to be this year. Questions asked, done. That leaves Anton Forsberg, your taxi squad goalie. Bang. It's over. It's finished. It's no questions asked. There's your roster. Locked in. The only questions up for debate are the forward roster group for the taxi squad, and of course, who you choose to be that taxi squad defenseman. For the Oilers, the question's not too complicated for the roster into this season, other than if there's a trade, cap clearance, whatever, or the addition of PTOs. But it's a pretty simple, straightforward thing when it gets to the back end and the goaltending. Forward group, we can have all the fun in the world, but it'll probably sort itself out in the most anticlimactic way possible because it is the Edmonton Oilers. Ladies and gentlemen, my voice is going hoarse. I've talked for 18 and a half minutes on one subject. You imagine? I can't believe it. You can't believe it. I'm going to head on out of here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will catch you in the next one.